Hi there, today I'm going to show you how to create a push-pull mechanism. Now, I'm going to start with an A4 sheet of card, and like most pop-ups, I'm going to do a fold to start with. I'm going to get the corners marked together. I'm going to push to the center with my thumb and then push upwards and then push downwards. Okay, and then you've got a pretty good folded A4 piece of card. You can get something round just to go along the crease to make it nice and sharp, and that way you've got a nice sharp crease. Now, push-pull mechanisms are interesting because unlike most pop-ups, they don't actually pop up. What they do is they move somewhere on the page. But a really important thing to remember, I'm just going to show this with a red pen, is you cannot have a push-pull mechanism that goes across this line, the fold, okay? Because the push-pull mechanism has to work either this way, or this way, or this way, or even diagonally. And equally on the bottom, it can go up and down or left and right, okay? It cannot cross this line because it will be bent then, okay? So I'm going to create a simple push-pull mechanism that's going to sit on the bottom, okay, or top. So you can have a push-pull on the top or bottom of the page, depending on whether you've got it landscape or, of course, portrait. There's some choices. So push-pull mechanisms require no folding at all for the most part. It just requires for some pieces of paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out some pieces to start with, and I'm going to do these in some different colors so it's a bit easier to see. So the first thing I need to do is cut a long strip of card. So I'm going to cut a long strip. You want this piece of card to have no bends in it, okay? It's a long strip of card. Then I'm also going to cut another strip. It doesn't have to be too thick. It doesn't really matter what colour it is. I'm just going to do it in blue to make it simple, okay? And then you need to decide, of course, what you want to push-pull. So I'm just going to do a simple little example. I'm going to draw myself a little, I don't know, a little spaceship. Let's do a spaceship. So I'm going to draw myself a little spaceship. Okay, there's a little spaceship. So we're going to push-pull this one. And I'm going to grab a pen, pair of scissors to cut it out. I'm going to cut it out fairly quickly. Of course, when you're doing this properly, because this is just an example, you will spend longer cutting it out and making it look neater and colouring it in. But this is just an example. Okay, so I've got my pieces. I've got something to push-pull. And I've got these two strips of card, and of course I've got my piece of card here. So the first thing I've got to do is decide what do I want to happen. So I want this to push-pull upwards. So I'm going to imagine that this is going to go up and down. I'm going to push-pull it up and down. So what I need to do is I need to cut a small hole for this piece of card to go through so I can pull it up and down, okay? So I'm going to cut this small hole. Now it's really important to actually mark this with a pencil, just so you know exactly where you're going to cut, because it's possible to do this with a pair of scissors, but it's much easier to use a sharp knife. This is something you might need to get an adult to help you with. You can do it with scissors by sort of folding it over and then snipping, but it's much easier to do it with a knife. Now you need to, of course, use a knife quite carefully. This is a craft knife. I'm keeping my hand above where the knife is, and I'm just going to move along just to cut it, okay? And what you should be doing is cutting something that is wider than this strip of paper, which mine is just. I might need to change that, but that's fine. So what I'm going to do, now I've got my slip, I'm going to slide my piece of paper through it like that, okay? So now if I look at it from the front, I can push-pull this up and down, which is great. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my little spaceship. I'm going to put a little dab of glue on it. And then I'm going to stick this onto this here. So here we go. So it's push-pulling up and down, which is great, okay? Working exactly how I want it to do. But one of the things you'll notice is it's moving around quite a bit. It's flopping around a bit. And equally, it can move from side to side a little bit as well. So what you need to do on the back, is this is what this other strip of paper is. And you need to cut this to size. So what you're going to do, you're going to stick this on. But of course, you're not going to put any glue anywhere in this area here. You don't want to put any glue here. because otherwise if we put glue there, it won't work anymore. So you can either put the glue on the paper or on the back. I'm going to be really careful, so I'm going to put it on here, so that way I'm not going to accidentally get it in the wrong place. Then I'm going to place this down. This piece of card's a bit long, but it doesn't really matter. You don't see the back, so it's not too important. So now what happens is when I pick it up, it doesn't flap around anymore, and so it moves just slightly better. Now, you'll see you've got this long bit sticking out still. This is where, of course, you can cut it a little bit shorter. You always want to make sure you make these longer than they need to be, and then of course you can put a little arrow on it just to show people what they need to do. Okay, and then of course then you add more detail to your push-pull mechanism. So this is my push-pull. There we go, push-pull, and of course it's when I fold it up, the push-pull folds away and it doesn't get damaged because of this. You might decide to do another push-pull down the bottom, but that's where you can get creative and combine different things together.